I sailed on 10 cruises last year and paid full price on 0. 6 of them, I used a boring, predictable method that saved me hundreds every time. The other 4, I gambled, and sometimes it paid off and others it didn't. And here's what nobody tells you. Some strategies are reliable and some are coin flip. And if you don't know the difference, you could end up paying more instead of less. I'm going to break down both the predictable wins that I use all the time and the gambles. And the one method I use on repeat that let me cruise on MSC World America, Norwegian Aqua, and Star of the Seas when they first launched. So let's get into it. If you're new here, I'm Kat, and I love sharing tips that help others save money on their cruises. And if anything here saves you real money, give this video a like. I would love to know that it helped you. I have tested a lot of ideas and hacks to save money over the years. And we're talking about things like, cruising off season when nobody wants to go, or booking an interior cabin instead of a balcony, booking smaller, older ships. These are common sense, and I continue to use some of these methods, but not others. For example, I can't stand an interior cabin because I feel like I'm sleeping in a dark closet. So that one is not for me, but it works for a lot of people. There are also some things that have changed drastically over the last few years. For example, last-minute deals. They're not really dead, but the way you use them now has really changed. So if you're trying to do the same thing as what you did 5 years ago, it probably won't work. And I'll get to that in a minute to let you know how to really use them. One thing I want to mention is that I have not had one cruise sponsored by any cruise line because of this channel. So I have to pay for all of them. And this video is about the most reliable ways that I could save on my cruises, and you can use the same methods. So let's start with the single most predictable tool that I've used on almost all of my cruises for about a decade. Here is the reality cruise lines don't advertise. They would love for you to book direct and pay whatever price that they decide to show you that day. And this is the standard industry-baked way to beat that consistently. It's called group space, and it does 2 big things. It lowers the rate that you pay versus the public pricing, and it often adds extras like onboard credit, dining, or it could be other perks. Now, there are 2 ways to use this. The first is if you have a group of people, think family, friends, a wedding party, whatever. Most cruise lines consider a group to be about 8 to 10 cabins, plus or minus. And when you qualify, you get lower rates, group amenities like onboard credit, and sometimes a thing called tour conductor credit, which is basically a free fare for one for every X number of cabins or people you book. But here's the thing. Most people don't have 15 to 20 people ready to cruise with them all in the same week. That's where that easy button comes in, and it's booking into existing group space. So here's how it works. Travel agencies can create group space on many sailings and offer it to their clients. You book just your cabin into the group, and you still get the group fare and the perks. No organizing required, no wrangling friends, no spreadsheets. And it's not like you have to participate in activities with strangers. This is just for you, your cabin, the savings, and the perks. And some savings can be huge. We're normally seeing anywhere from $50 to $1,000 off per cabin, depending on the ship and the date. Of course, the more expensive sailings have more possibility for savings. And I know it's a big range, but this is real money. So it's always worth to check what's available. So let's move on to the next one. Another method we personally use to pay for one of our cruises is credit card bonuses. But of course, this only works if you're really disciplined. We do use a solid strategy with travel rewards cards that give you sign-up bonuses and then rewards for spending. Our golden rule is never carry a balance. We pay off everything every month as if it was a debit card. But if you have a business with a lot of spending, there are credit cards that will give you multiple times the points per spend, and it can be really a great way to rack up some of that free money for things that you're already spending money on. But if you're not disciplined with credit, definitely skip this one. Now, let's move on to the next one. Casino comps. Yes, let's talk about that big elephant in the room. I sailed on 2 casino comps last year, and if you love playing the casino, they can be fantastic. But here's what I need you to understand before you go chasing these free cruises. They're not predictable. Dates are usually going to be near term, like the next month or the month after for the marketing offers. And if you are not flexible on those, you're out of luck. You still also pay taxes and fees, so it's not a free cruise, it is a discounted cruise. And a lot of these offers are going to be on cruises that are on cheaper sailings, unless you're paying a lot of money. So by the time you pay the taxes and fees, you might be only saving a few $100s. Last year, I decided to do an experiment. I am personally not a casino player. Honestly, sitting at a slot machine for me was like watching paint dry, but I decided I'm going to do it. I want to see what it takes because I keep hearing all these videos saying that, you play a little bit and you get casino offers all the time. So I gave it a full year. I earned Prime status, but here's what I realized. I felt like I was working on my cruise to earn my next cruise. To me, it wasn't relaxing. I wasn't enjoying the ship. And so for me, I found that it is just not what I want to do. Feel free to watch that video and let's move on to the next savings method. Next, let's talk about a quick win that you can stack on any cruise, and it's simple but kind of underrated. And that's bring a friend or a roommate. Now, here's the deal. Most solo fares on mainstream cruise lines are 150 to 200% of a cruise fare. If the baseline is $1,000 per person, a solo traveler is going to pay $1,500 to $2,000 for that same cabin. But if you share the cabin with a friend, you're effectively saving $500 to $1,000 versus going solo. Plus, you can split the pre-cruise hotel, your ride share to the port, maybe even some excursions. And honestly, some of my greatest cruise memories are from girls' trips where we just split a cabin, split the costs, and had an absolute blast. The money doesn't come out of your household income, and you get a great vacation. And I actually did that on 2 of my cruises last year, which allowed me to go when Kevin wasn't able to get any more time off. Now here's the next question I see a lot, and that's should you become a travel agent to save money on your own cruises? And I understand why. There are quite a few videos on YouTube about, hey, become the travel agent, you're gonna get a bunch of free cruises or discounted travel. And the short answer is probably not. Unless you plan to book multiple cabins or work in groups regularly and you actually want to serve clients. After paying the host agency fees, the commission split to the host agency, the time and effort invested into the training you need to have to be able to book things, and then saving a couple $100s on a cruise doesn't really work out mathematically. And if you're cruising once a year, booking into something like a group or using any of these other methods is going to give you more savings faster with zero hassle. If you are cruising a lot and you're booking groups of friends or family and you love traveling and you generally want to do this as a side gig or possibly a different business, absolutely, I would 100% recommend it. And that's how I got started. And then as the time went on, I opened my own agency and it just grew from there. But for most people, and I mean the majority of people that just looking to save $100 on their yearly vacation, I'd say skip it. What you probably heard also is fam trips. You know, those highly discounted and sometimes free trips offered to travel agents. And what most people don't tell you is that majority of those fam trips require you to be a member of a legitimate industry organization like CLIA or IATA, and most host agencies require at least $5,000 in commissions earned before they let you become a member, which means you'd have to sell a lot of travel before you can actually qualify. They want real professionals who are going to go and sell this to their clients. So yes, I went on 2 fam trips last year. They were not free. but I paid about 50% for those cruises than I would have otherwise, which saved me around $500 per cruise. Okay, so let's talk about last minute deals. Are they dead? No, but they have changed. Here's what happens when you're about a month before sailing. First of all, if you do find something, it's an actual deal. Airfare often spikes $200 to $600 per person. That's going to wipe off any kind of benefit from having the last minute deal. So it might actually be more expensive than if you just booked ahead. Plus, cabin choices are very slim. Last minute, you're getting whatever's left. It's often going to be undesirable locations or guarantees where a cruise line picks for you. And if it's a popular ship or holiday sailing or any kind of hot season where people are sailing, it's going to be sold out months before anyway. So who can still win at the true last minute deals? Well, those who live within driving distance of the port and can sail on short notice, because they can skip the airfare problem and it can actually get some of those deals. But what's the better late window for everybody else? You want to watch right after the final payment deadline, and that's usually somewhere between 75 and 120 days before the sailing. It's going to depend on the cruise line and the length of the sailing. And the reason is because that's when people cancel. So they can't make it the final payment, or they change their minds, or just life happens. And so the inventory may open back up and prices might drop, but there's no guarantee. I've watched this so many times, and sometimes I see it go down, other times it just keeps going up. But we're not talking about a month or a week out. We're still talking about a couple months, so you have some time to get that planning done. But with that said, it is possible off season. For one of our cruises, we did find a great deal for a quick last minute 3-day getaway in January on Allure of the Seas. And it was only a couple $100 per person. And I swore I'd never go on a cruise for just 3 days, but Kevin just had 3 days off and we both needed a getaway. We actually flew in that morning, which is the thing we say not to do. We figured if we miss it, we miss it. But this cruise was cheaper than going to a hotel on a beach and then paying for food and entertainment. And I discovered why people love those 3-day cruises. I've been on 3 of them since then, and I actually made a video about how to maximize them. I'll link it here and in the description. But as a general rule, the best time to book right now is a year or 2 ahead of time. And you can get a policy that allows you to cancel for any reason. So if you really want to book ahead and need that flexibility, get your travel insurance with that policy or just book a refundable fare. By the way, this is also where group rates can be a huge benefit. For example, on Royal Caribbean, cabins booked under the group rate are fully refundable until the final payment date. So you get to save money and it gives you the flexibility. Here's a quick one that we do use on every one of our cruise sailings, and that is the shareholder onboard credit. If you hold 100 shares on any cruise company group, so like Royal Caribbean Group, Carnival Corporation, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, you can claim free onboard credit every time. And it's usually anywhere between $50 to $250, depending on the length of the sailing. It's free money, so why would you not? But again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not investment advice. And if you cruise a lot, and you're comfortable holding some stock, maybe that's something to look into. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Just to add some more things that we do use all the time that are going to be more kind of rapid fire, and that is shoulder season. In the Caribbean, we're talking about December, January. Alaska, you're talking about May and September. Mediterranean, go before or after people mostly want to go, like April or May, or late September into October. Fares do drop during those times, crowds are thinner, and weather is usually nicer. Another thing you can do is choose the cheaper cabin if you want to save money on cruises that might be port-heavy itineraries where you're really not going to be in the room much anyway. And a big one is saving money on onboard activities and extras like Wi-Fi, drink packages, specialty dining. I mean, those things can sometimes be as much or more as the cruise fare. And that's what I cover in this video next. Thank you for watching.